Tonight, 3 stories about Twin Cities celebrities starting over. Television comedians Tom Arnold and Roseanne Barr, radio DJ Eleanor Mondale, and Vikings general manager Mike Lynn all share their new life choices on a Pat Miles Special.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Tonight we're going to introduce you to 3 of Minnesota's most interesting and controversial personalities, all of whom have something in common. They're all facing new challenges and making some big changes in their life. Some of the changes we expected, but some of them we did not. For nearly 2 decades, Mike Lynn reigned as general manager in the Minnesota Vikings front office. But last month, the man everyone thought was a team institution stunned the Twin Cities by announcing he was leaving to head the New World League of American Football. Critics say he's bailing out amid the team's dismal season performance. But Mike will tell you he knew a long time ago this would be his last year and that his new job is a dream come true.
I feel, again, I'm very lucky to be able to get this job and to fulfill a dream that I had back in the 70s, in the 90s, to actually do it.
Eleanor Mondale's been labeled Walter and Joan's wild child, and the former television reporter turned radio DJ is turning heads in the Twin Cities. But there's a contemplative side to the former vice president's daughter. Recovering from a broken marriage, she says this is the happiest time of her life, back home with a new husband-to-be.
I've always been a happy person. I've always been an upbeat person. But now I'm happy way inside, which is neat, because I don't know that I've experienced that so much.
It's going to change your performance, the way you perform in public, or your...
Comic couple Tom Arnold and Roseanne Barr have already battled chemical abuse and media bashing to keep their relationship together. Now they say they want to take their television sitcom and leave Hollywood's Glitter City for a place close to their hearts, Minnesota. Tom met Roseanne and got his big break in a Minneapolis comedy club.
It's great. It's like nothing I've ever felt before.
Great.
You know, it's...
But we just, we're like really strong together, and so we kind of can withstand all. We don't like the onslaught, but, we're just really strong together.
In just a moment, we'll be back with Tom and Roseanne's story.
A Pat Miles Special is brought to you in part by Pontiac and their local Pontiac dealers. We build excitement. And by Menards, your complete home improvement headquarters.
Chances are you never saw Tom Arnold perform here at the Comedy Gallery, where he got his start several years ago. But you've no doubt read about Tom and his wife Roseanne Barr in the tabloids or seen them on television. They've been in the news constantly since Roseanne sang her screeching rendition of the national anthem last summer at a baseball game. The couple comes to the Twin Cities frequently. In fact, they were just here last week. And they say one day soon they'll make their home in Minnesota. But for now, Tom and Roseanne are living life in the fast lane. They seem to be anywhere and everywhere they can find an audience.
We'll stand up for you, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Tom Arnold.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm not a good one, but these are the same pants I wore in high school. Just wearing them 8 inches lower now,
I always thought it was funny. I just... First time I ever performed, I thought, this is good.
My last relationship, I was always there for her, and she dumped me. And I told her about it, too. I said, remember when you lost your job? I was there. Remember when you flunked out of school? I was there. Remember when you wrecked your car? I was there. She's like, I know. You're bad luck.
You got to feel like you can make it big, or else you're not going to do nothing at all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Years ago, Tom Arnold told a reporter he was going places. He said he was convinced that a fat white boy could make it big. Well, Tom's prediction turned out to be true. Arnold not only stars in, writes, and produces for one of television's top sitcoms, he's married to the star of the show, Roseanne Barr.
Here, this is for you. It's kind of a thank you thing.
Oh. I'll take it out in the kitchen.
Hope you don't have one of those already.
No, Arnie, I don't have a wine and soap basket.
I got it at the car wash.
You might call it a dream come true for this small-town Iowa boy who got his own start as a Twin Cities comic with the fabulous Goldfish Review.
Now these are the goldfish, and my name is Tom. And these are the goldfish. I know that we're gonna get along. The fabulous goldfish. Yeah, we've got magic, suspense, nature, drama. It's true they're the kings of the opera comedy world, but I call it the fabulous Goldfish Review. Yeah!
And I think he'd been working on his shows down in Ottumwa at the college. And he came up here, and he had a goldfish act where he had trained goldfish. And he was very funny. He made people laugh, and it was just a matter of a few appearances before I wanted to book him on the shows.
It was during his days at the Comedy Gallery back in 1983 that Tom was first introduced to Roseanne Barr.
You know, I wasn't real friendly to him at first because, like, comics are so sick that, you know, you can't be nice to someone till you see their act and make sure they're funny. And then I watched his act, and I just busted a gut. I thought it was so funny. And then I knew he was like a cool guy.
You guys were really friends in the beginning.
We were like best buddies. We just cracked each other up. We had a lot of fun, and you know, we were just like, it was weird to have a best friend that was a guy, but like I don't think I thought of you as a guy then.
And you may still not think of me as a
no,
guy.
I think of you as a guy now.
Tom, somebody told me that you lived in a house in Minneapolis where you had underwear hanging on the doorknobs, and now you live in this beautiful...
But there's underwear on the doorknobs.
Beautiful house.
The first time I went to his house, they had pizza nailed to the wall that was like about 100 years old.
Roseanne became a regular at Tom's infamous parties on Lindell Avenue whenever she was in town, and together they were outrageous. Loud, bawdy, and hell-bent on having a good time.
The place was unbelievably corrupt. It was the site of many, many extraordinary all-night bashes.
Another regular at those parties was Tom's close friend, David KARE.
After an evening with Tom, regardless of what chemicals were involved, you'd feel like taking a nap, taking a rest, because he's a guy who goes full out, flat out.
All right, so we'll go for the top again. Nice and quiet, everyone. And action.
Come on, you mama's boys, put your tacos on the table. 50 cents.
Now it is.
Today, Tom Arnold, the loose cannon, the party animal, has remained sober for nearly a year, has stayed the course with Roseanne, and has stunned his critics in Hollywood who said he wasn't experienced or talented enough to produce for Roseanne's show.
It makes my job a lot easier being a producer than being I was a story editor last year. It's not a matter of battling with anybody anymore because what we want in the show is the funny stuff. I mean, it's part of our life, and with Rosie and I, we're involved in all stages of the script. You know, from the idea of the story, we okay it, to the outline, to the first draft. It's added pressure, but it makes my job a lot easier.
Ow! Leave me alone! Get out of here! Oh, God, get off me!
Love is a many splendid thing.
Okay, I'm gonna go produce.
I'll get that.
Yeah.
Tom, don't do that producing stuff, okay? Go produce over there, yeah.
Good luck, buddy, and thanks a lot. Save our show.
Keep it on the air, Tom.
God bless you, Tommy. Don't let him mess with you, boy. He's all we got left.
Roseanne, you know, she keeps saying she wants to be more of a busybody in the mall. More. This could be, you know.
That's what this is.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the fact that she's a little quick to the draw. She screws up a little bit here.
Well, that's, yeah.
You really seem to be enjoying yourself today when you were working with the writers.
I enjoy that more than anything on the show. That's my favorite thing, is when we're in there and we're moving a script along. You know, it's almost as good as doing your act, stand-up comedy, when things are going great.
You're going back to Dudley Riggs. That's just where you're gonna do. $15 a night, pal.
And you brought in a lot of people from the Twin Cities, haven't you?
Yeah.
Why is that, Tom?
They seem to know the show real well, and they also know the family, and they're also the funniest people.
Now, you guys have talked about moving back there.
We are planning on moving the show 92, 93. We're doing everything in our power, and the other actors want it, and it's what Rosie and I want more than anything, because we're going to be living there.
What is it that attracts you
Well,
we met there. I don't know. It's
met
kind
there.
of a romantic city because we met there, and it's real artsy and
it's small town.
People are so nice.
Small town and yet big enough, and it has good schools.
And people think like we do there.
People like us there.
Yeah, they like us. We have to get out of here before we become one of them.
Right, before we become one of them, the invasion
here.
of the body snatchers, the people that live here. You know.
It's really scary here. It's like nobody has half a brain in their head. I swear to God, they don't.
Tom and Roseanne also keep close ties in the Midwest with Tom's family in his hometown of Ottumwa, Iowa.
He was big for his age. In fact, we used to call him Big Tom.
He was always impulsive, Tom was, and he liked to be kind of the leader in the classroom rather than a follower, and he has always had the ability to write.
He was an average student. He was an independent thinker. We never got the feeling that he was doing what he was really capable of doing. One of the things he said that he regretted was, in his entire 3 years here, he never tried out for a play on stage. He said on the tape, he said at that time he thought it was all for sissies. And then he said, in reality, I was too afraid to do it, too afraid to get up.
That was a good flight.
Yeah, it was great, thanks.
Good.
You know, I performed there quite a few times. I tell Rosie, I go, I got a gig in Ottumwa, so we got to go there. You know, it's just an excuse to go home.
Is that you, Chris?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Chris. We stayed at this last time, didn't we, honey?
Oh, yeah.
We have good memories here.
What were we here for?
Marta's wedding.
Oh, yeah. What's this thing? It's good, but I don't know what it is.
What's it taste like, Pooh?
Kool-Aid.
She really liked it here. It was peaceful and quiet. One time she brought the children down, and they could go and play in the park, and nobody, you know, would question who they were or what they were doing. And they come back frequently. And about once a year, he'll come back and do a show.
How's it going? Did you meet all these guys?
Tickets. I'll take your tickets over here.
Ah, God.
You guys are going to enjoy the show. It's really good tonight.
Yeah. Thank you. How you guys doing? It's great. We are, Roseanne and I don't know what you've read, but we are the perfect couple. We are the perfect couple. We like the same movies. We read the same books. We wear the same size pants. We're the perfect couple, folks. How many couples can say that, huh? Being married is nice and stuff. And Rosie's 3 kids live with us. And at first the kids didn't know what to call me. Do they call me Tom? Do they call me stepdad? They call me the intruder, is what they call me. And
well, how has Tom done as fitting into this role, this family role, Roseanne?
He brought something totally new to my family that we never had before. That was really healthy and good. I didn't really know too much about being a mom or how to have discipline and rules, and mostly discipline. I really didn't know what that was or how to do it. And it's funny that he never had any kids, but he knew how to do that a lot better than I did.
That's a tough one, though. I mean, that's my first decision was, am I going to be their buddy or their stepfather? First day of school, they aren't going. They all decide not to go. Then I talked to Rosie and I said, well, God, you know, what's the deal? And that night I went and looked at the last year. I got the report cards for the last year. They missed 40 days of school. And I said, you know, this isn't a good thing.
So what you had to do for Jake?
So the girls, I would go rouse them. I got up at 6 and I'd say, you guys got to get up. And they were pretty, you know, they were going along with it at first. But Jake, he was 11. He wouldn't get out of bed. So I'd go in his room and I'd take him out of bed. And I had to dress him. And then I carry him out to the car. And he missed 2 days of school last year, and he got a math award, and the girls got A's. One of the girls skipped a grade.
You know, you guys seem so down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
you know, it's hard not to be down to earth, is what
I mean,
they say.
how do you keep yourself there? Because you live in a really different world than most people.
We were down to earth because we were raised that way, and because we know that the only way for us to stay happy and sober and healthy is to remain down to earth, because that's true to ourselves.
What made you, or who convinced you to go through treatment?
I had no choice, you know. I was emotionally bankrupt. I had tried everything else. I couldn't get sober without going to treatment. I knew that if I didn't go to treatment, I would lose Rosie, the kids, everything. That was it. And, you know, it's just, it was the best, you know, it was the worst thing, but the best thing that ever happened to me.
Has he changed a lot since treatment?
Oh, man, he's totally, yeah, and so have I. Yeah, he's like, just the best parts of him got bigger, and really I feel very blessed, you know, that I got to have this kind of a relationship with, you know, a man and marry him in my life, because I know people don't get that.
I'll tell you how she's changed my life. She stood by me in the worst thing that could happen to any relationship. She stood by me when I was sick, and she made sure I got better, and she stood by me through all this with all that she had to lose. You know, it could have affected her career, and everybody that knew her was saying, dump this guy. He's hurting you, you know. He's a drug addict, he's an alcoholic, and he's hurting you, and he's not as good as you, and he wants your money, and you dump him, and, you know, and she stuck by me, and those people are not around anymore, and, you know, so it's, you know, and I'm here, and she's here, and things are great.
It doesn't appear life is going to slow down much for Tom and Roseanne. They just signed a new deal for another television sitcom and a made-for-television movie.
Still ahead, the man behind the ruthless reputation, Vikings general manager Mike Lynn, and Eleanor Mondale. She grew up as the vice president's daughter. Now she defends her energetic Twin Cities lifestyle.
If dancing's a crime, shoot me, you know.
After a year of struggling with her reputation and her career, Eleanor Mondale says she's finally found her niche here at WLOL Radio as a morning drive disc jockey. But in between, she's become Minnesota's infamous wild child, the party girl who some people say likes to date, dance, and drink too much, the drop-dead gorgeous blonde who's not shy about showing off.
I am Eleanor Mondale, and my last name is Mondale, and my father was vice president, and I haven't changed my name, and I haven't tried to hide it, but it is a fact of life. I am energetic, and I like to have fun, and I express myself, and sometimes that's misconstrued. I think people think that I'm really wealthy and that I'm really spoiled and that I party all the time and I have a million boyfriends and I don't have a care in the world. I'm not really wealthy. I'm comfortable. And I don't party all the time, but when I do, people watch me. And I don't have a lot of boyfriends. I have a lot of friends. But I have concerns like everyone else, and also those concerns get magnified because of the position I'm in. So life is good for me, but not because I haven't worked really, really hard to get here. I can't wait to get to work, and I can't wait to see the people at work, and I get to bring my dog, and everybody loves Wilma, and it's just wonderful.
And you've got today's best music from 99.5 WLOL.
You can dance. For inspiration. Come on.
The stuff that I talk about on the radio is whatever I feel like talking about, mostly gossip, mostly entertainment gossip, but not harmful stuff, I don't think.
Now on to the important stuff, Cher's tattoo. I get my information from very good sources, as you can see here in the window I'm showing you.
Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like the Bible.
Well, and we have to be able to rely on news like that.
It's one of those sort of inquiring minds want to know bits, so you can take it or leave it. Weather and more of today's best music coming up after this. Now watch this.
No, don't be doing that. That's not fun.
These days, Eleanor's life may sound glamorous, but in reality, she's up before dawn and on the air at WLOL by 5:30.
You're not supposed to bite me, you're supposed to bite him.
Fair today with 52 minutes of the best music every single hour from the fair, like nobody else does it at WLOL.
Now, don't help these people.
No, you gotta win. You gotta know everything.
Wait a second. Now, wait. You stand there. Eleanor, you stand right here.
More people have come up to me now and said, well, we think your show is so funny. We really like your show. And that's really rewarding. And I haven't had that in any other job. I really feel like if it is, I found my niche. I mean, I'm afraid to say that just because my life is so, you know, it always changes so much.
You said this has been almost the best time in your life.
Well, I've been through a lot of muckety-muck, you know, I won't cuss on TV, although I do cuss a lot by myself. I think I've been through a lot, and I think this is a good reward.
And why did you come back?
Well, it's been talked about, and it's because I was leaving my husband, and I didn't really know what to do or what I wanted to do. I knew I was depressed and sad, so I just packed up my car and drove home.
It wasn't a happy Eleanor Mondale who left Chicago. For 4 years, she lived in the limelight of the Windy City as a DJ at WGN and as a local celebrity who made commercials.
My New York lawyer wants me to look like this. My agent in Los Angeles tells me to look like this. But I live in Chicago now, and this is the real me. Wait till they see what the real me likes to drive.
When Chicago Bear Keith Van Horn stepped into the picture, he and Eleanor made a hot item for the gossip columnists.
Well, we worked at the same radio station for a while. And he's a great guy. I mean, he's well-liked, and including by me. I mean, I still like him very much. I love him. And when I talk to him, I'm sad because I miss him, but I just know, I mean, he and I both know it just couldn't. Things weren't exactly where they should be.
Was it football that caused such a problem?
I mean, there were a lot of things, and we tried very hard, and we just we wanted to do different things, or we had different ideas of what marriage should be.
You got a lot of publicity in Chicago, too.
Yeah, but it wasn't like this. The publicity in Chicago was Keith and Eleanor were seen at this restaurant holding hands. It was all pretty much positive stuff.
Kathy O'Malley was one of the people writing about Eleanor and Keith.
In Chicago, our celebrities are our media people. And Eleanor was a media person, and she was young, and she was cute, and she was out. So we had items about where she was and who she was spotted with, especially when she started to date Keith. There was just something about Eleanor that was, mystical is not the word. It's just mysterious that Eleanor has a vitality or just this little quirkiness that makes people find her interesting, especially guys.
You know, men are really attracted to you.
I don't see that. I see guys that I like that I'm afraid to approach, or I don't know if they'll like me. Or.
But you do attract attention, Eleanor.
I know that.
And
I know that.
And I can remember when I saw you at the Dayton's opening in that dress, that little dress.
I think
I mean, that is an attention getter.
It's a beautiful dress. It's a lovely dress, and I love it.
And you are a beautiful young woman, but you're going to get attention as a beautiful young woman in a little tiny beautiful dress.
Well, I work out a lot, you know, and if I look good, I'm going to show it off. I think that dress is a very tasteful dress, and whether it is or it isn't, I think that dress looks good, and that's why I wore it. Some people think that my motivation is to get the attention, and I've had to question myself and say, is that why I like to dance? Is that why I like to wear tight clothes? Is that why? And maybe realistically part of it is, because I know ever since I was a kid I wanted to be in theater, I wanted to be a movie star, I wanted to be up in front.
Your parents seem conservative, Midwestern, and forgive me, Walter, straight. And to have a, what somebody termed you, a wild child as a daughter. I mean, it just doesn't seem to fit. Where did this wild child come from?
I think...
Whose gene was that?
It was the stray gene.
Whose gene was that? Did that come from Walter or Joan, that wild child gene?
It came from nowhere. She just had it. She always was unusual and different. She always had different interests and different tastes. And we enjoyed that because she brought that strength to the family. Sometimes it was a little worrisome.
The high point in our vice presidency was when she took her horse and rode it on the Naval Observatory grounds. I think the Admiral had a heart attack. I think he's been in the Naval Hospital ever since. He came over, showed me the regulation. You can't ride a horse on their horse. It was unbelievable. She just had to do it.
He likes to come on a little bit out of the corner. That's okay. He can jump from a big stride. Don't lean left. Stand in your right heel, shoulders square. Look up. Steady. Good girl. Stand in your left heel. Don't be in a hurry to get there. Good. Shove. Stand in your left heel. Weight on your left heel. Good. Nice half halt.
Were you rebellious as a young child?
I didn't think I was rebelling, but I wasn't following the rules. I wasn't going to school. I was out at the stable with my horses, and I would take the carpool, take the family car, drop the kids off at school, drive out to the stable, pick them up at 4 o'clock, and drop them home.
Did your parents know about it?
They didn't know about it until the teachers called them. And that's when my life changed. That's when I got shipped off to an all-girls boarding school. But it was really good. It just settled me down. Friends of mine didn't go to high school, and friends and people that I rode with never went to college, and they rode horses, and that's all I wanted to do. That and be a movie star. Be realistic.
You tried to be a movie star.
I did. I tried.
What happened?
I went out there to LA, and I went to acting class. I got a 3-week part in a movie, 3 weeks of work, which is big. And after that 3 weeks, I just thought, is this all there is? This is what I wanted to do my whole life? This is really boring.
In your opinion, Eleanor, what is your talent?
Well,
I mean, have you ever been hired because you were a Mondale?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Many times.
And you knew it?
I knew that. I mean, my first job in television was absolutely beyond a doubt that I was a Mondale.
Oh, actually, that scene from Purple Rain was filmed right here on the banks of the Minnesota River near Henderson, Minnesota, right off County Road 19.
And the Mondale name didn't hurt when she returned to the Twin Cities looking for a job. With only very limited reporting experience, WCCO Television hired Eleanor to cover the Twin Cities entertainment beat. Were you too risque for Twin Cities Television?
The bottom line is I was a new idea. I was a new experiment, and there was no one to help me mold it. So what came out of that was, you know, pieces that were inconsistent. And I know that I worked very, very hard. And I'm not so sure that was the perception. My personal life became grossly enlarged, and it encompassed my professional abilities there. As far as moving on and getting a little bit of coaching. I think the coaching came too late for the impression that I made professionally. The guidance came too late. And the personal influences, stories that management would hear, which were completely out of the blue. I mean, that I'm arm wrestling Jesse Ventura in a bar, and I've never met the guy. You know, the same thing, I'm having an affair with a married man, I've never met him. And I wasn't there at every social gathering to say, that's not true, that's not true. You know, I mean, so that kind of stuff sinks in, and I think it stained the opinion. And yes, I can be better professionally. I think everyone could get better, but I think that was understood when I got there that I was raw talent. And I don't really have any hard feelings. I mean, I look at the circumstances, and I look at where I am now, and I think if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm really happy doing. I got all the food. I got a little pie.
Finally, life appears to be a bit more mellow and a lot happier for Eleanor Mondale. And that, she says, is why she came home in the first place.
How many of this do you want? Just 2?
No, this is for the pasta, so I'd say at least 5.
Ooh, boy, I'm never going to make it.
Oh, brother. This is the Alfredo sauce for the pasta. It's a recipe I made up because of my Italian roots, you know, Mondale.
I think she wants stability. I think she wants a permanence in relationships. I think in many ways, despite what you see, she's a very traditional daughter and woman now.
What's important to you?
Well, my focus is my family and my career and my dogs and my business. I have a part ownership of the firm, which has always been a positive part of my life, even when I didn't have my hand in it. I was working out there, and I remember walking in every day and just thinking, this is great. People picked me up, the music was great, the aerobics was good, and it's a positive. The love shot.
Oh, that was nice. Part of Eleanor's job at the firm is to help promote it with her friend and co-owner, Kelly Vesterby.
Okay, yes, this is it. That's wonderful. Emote, Eleanor. Okay, stay right there, and I'm going to back up.
Is it hard for you to trust people?
Yeah, very hard. I mean, to the point where I don't know if I can. I mean, I trust my girlfriends.
With some of the publicity she has, people often have a preconceived notion of what she's like, and most of the time, she's not anything like what you read in the papers. She's really very, very loving, but she needs love, and she is confident, and she's insecure, and she's opposites. That's how I would describe her, I think. It's like she's either very, very happy or she's very sad. There's very little middle for Eleanor.
A few weeks ago, Eleanor's friends were surprised to read in the gossip column about her engagement to Greg Thunder, a fellow disc jockey at WLOL. The two say they plan to marry next year. Why do you think people are so curious about you?
I don't know. I do not know. I think maybe because I have a public job and I have a famous father. But I'm really, really happy to be here. And if the downside is that people talk about me, that's fine. Because I can't, there's some modifications that I've made, I suppose, just in the settling process, but I can't overhaul my entire personality. You know, people said, well, start wearing collars up to here and start getting involved in church projects. And I thought, you know...
Did people really tell you to do that?
Yes, and I appreciate their efforts, but that isn't me, and I don't want to live somewhere where I can't be me, and I don't think me is so bad.
And things continue to look good for Eleanor. The ratings are up here at work, and the last time we checked, CJ didn't write about her in tomorrow's gossip column in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune.
Coming up next, Mike Lynn's still the Vikings general manager, but he's already hit the New York fast track as president of the World League of American Football.
I needed something new, I needed something different. This is really my baby.
Several months ago, I was sitting here at Mike Lynn's office talking about profiling him for tonight's special. The story was going to be great. An inside look at one of the most complicated and controversial general managers in the National Football League, and also a chance to be there for what everyone thought would be the Vikings Super Bowl season. Well, as you know, things didn't turn out that way. In fact, everything we thought would happen didn't. And the one thing we thought would never happen did.
Hi, folks. The opportunity presented itself, and I said that I would accept the presidency of the World League.
The announcement sent shockwaves through the sports world. After 17 years with the Minnesota Vikings, after repeatedly saying this would be his last job in football, Mike Lynn quit to take another job in, you guessed it, football. The announcement has been made. You've taken this new position. Did you know you were going to do this?
Well, when I signed my last contract back in 1984, you know, I said to Georgia at that time that this is my last contract. And I needed something new. I needed something different. This is really my baby. My interest has been in expansion, and my interest has always been to export American football worldwide. It is something that I thought of in the late 70s. It's something that's always been a dream of mine to do, and now I have the opportunity as president of the World League to do it.
Good afternoon, World League. Mr. Lynn's office.
And at the same trip, if I have the time, I want to look at some other cities in Europe.
Mike is now the president of the NFL's newest venture, the World League of American Football. And at the league's headquarters in New York, he already seems right at home, anxious to begin his new mission, the globalization of football.
I think I looked at 6 apartments. This makes 6 apartments today and about 8 or 10 brownstones.
In the meantime, Mike's wife, Georgia, is busy with her own mission, finding a place to move the family in Manhattan.
They are huge. Yes. You're right.
This is huge by New York standards,
yes,
anyway.
I agree. What did you tell your husband?
Well, it's a
in here?
Well, wait a second. Be careful.
You fold it down, Pi? It's wonderful for me. I knew the first time I hit Manhattan, I wanted to go spend a little more time there. It's perfect for Michael. He's such a visionary, you know, always has been. He always seems to be able to see more than other people see.
You'll be in Minneapolis tomorrow in the Vikings office?
Yeah. What time is that? Is it
it's scheduled for 1:30
Eastern time. So that would be 12:30 my time.
12:30 your time.
These days, Mike has found his stride on the fast track in New York City. After a morning at World League headquarters, he meets at 12:30 with the NFL commissioner on Park Avenue. At 2 o'clock, he meets with ABC Sports officials. And finally, he's off to catch a flight at 4:30 back to the Twin Cities.
Okay. See you back in Minnie.
A Pat Miles Special will return in a moment.
It's a very exciting business. It's a very exciting job. It's you know, there's nothing that you can replace the high and the low of what happens on a Sunday afternoon.
Jump up, baby! Oh! We got it!
Well, it's a tremendous rush, and there's nothing that can replace it. Nothing.
How did you get to be so controversial?
I'm not really controversial. I'm not controversial at all. I'm a doer. I mean, I do things, and I make things happen. And consequently, when you're that type of personality, you get other people that get mad at you, that are opposed to what you want to do.
So you feel you've been misunderstood all these years?
I think I'm a pretty good gauge of what the public perception is just from my mail. And if the team does well, then the perception is pretty good. If the team doesn't do very good, then the perception is bad. You know, we do live in a fishbowl, and our life is very public. The people of Minnesota have some degree of ownership of this football team. So if they've got a suggestion, they really don't hesitate to let me know.
We've got a call in terms of Bob Schnelker. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I was wondering what the bright idea was behind getting 3 new offensive coordinators behind Schnelker.
Well, the one thing you can't do is blame Bob Schnelker anymore.
You know, when we first talked about asking you to be in this program, one of the reasons I was curious is because I heard so much talk about Mike Lynn has changed. Mike Lynn is really this changed man. And, I mean, was it that the challenge had sort of gone out of the job for you, or is that what people were sensing when they said Mike Lynn has really changed?
It probably was a combination of a couple things that, you know, that you know, you've been doing it for so long, and that you really wanted, I mean, I really wanted to move on. I mean, I really wanted to do something else.
Hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
It was apparent to me about 2 years ago that there had to be some radical changes made in the organization. I think that I made the decision that I could not manage the team in the 90s the way I managed the team in the 70s, which was to put this wall between me and the players. You know, now I don't do that. You get an agenda?
Yeah. I think there have been some changes that have taken place, and
You know, it kind of goes back to this off-season when we decided to come up with this team council. A lot of times we make suggestions, they bring things to us, and I think from that perspective, a lot of guys on the team feel like they're more integral in the overall scheme of things as far as how things go on in our overall operations.
Do you like this Mike Lynn better than the old Mike Lynn?
My turn?
Yeah, your turn.
I think he's been fairly well accepted by most of the players. You know, like Steve has mentioned, I think he really has made a commitment to try and make himself more available to the players, more accessible to the players, and you know, I firmly believe that he's trying. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think there may always be some players that think, regardless of how many times a snake sheds his skin, he's still going to be a snake.
A snake? Perhaps to some of the players, but one this team was going to have to learn how to trust at a place called the Pecos River Learning Center in New Mexico.
I thought the Pecos River experience was a fantastic experience, and I still think to this day that everyone that participated in it felt the same way. We weren't going down there to win another game. We weren't going down there to go further in the playoffs. We're going down there to improve the relationships of the people in this organization.
This guy's been a long ways up. Nothing as tough as this.
My group was the only group that every person finished every exercise. The fact that I did it, they had to do it.
The experience was mostly hailed as a success, as a turning point. But months later, after his negotiations had broken down, former Vikings kicker Rich Carlos remembers the problems at Pecos River, especially the problems with Mike Lynn.
For example, the one excursion we had was that everyone gets or half the guys get blindfolded, and then an anonymous person comes up and leads them through some rough terrain, and you have to really have confidence and faith in the guy leading you around, and Mike gets blindfolded, and who draws him but me? And the first thing Mike does is Mike starts dragging me through the the terrain, and he can't even see where he was going.
What does that tell you about him?
He's a very strong control person. He likes to win, and he likes to be in control of everything around him.
Michael is very focused, and his energies, once he channels them into something, he never deviates or never gets off track. Certainly since Pecos River, I don't know how successful it was for everybody else, but I think it was very successful with Michael. I think it showed him that it's okay, you know, to be warm. He's always had affection for, you know, the players and the staff and different people, but never has allowed himself to show it.
There she is. There she is.
Well, what about spending time with the kids? I mean, is he able to do that?
He and Lucia have a very easy rapport with each other.
You're all wet.
I know.
They bat back and forth, and he says she can't date until she's 30. And this summer, he came down to Lucia's camp.
Is that the tube steak that they talked about? Huh? Looks good to me.
To get to see this child who is not a little girl anymore, it was special for him, and enlightening too.
Happy birthday, dear Lucia. Happy birthday to you.
The Lynns keep their ties to George's family in Mississippi, where they own a Civil War mansion in Holly Springs, the same town where Georgia grew up. How good are you at your job, Mike?
You know, the talent speaks for itself. The balance sheet speaks for itself. I don't think I could operate a football team and lose money. I mean, I would find that to be very distasteful. I mean, I certainly don't enjoy contract negotiations because it's really a thankless part of my job. You really have to get down to the facts, and athletes, since the time that they've been very small, they've been given a pat on the behind or the head, and were told what a wonderful job they were doing. And then finally, they sit down across from me, and they learn the truth about themselves.
Ron Simon, a local attorney who's represented a number of Viking players over the last decade, knows about the bitter contract struggles. He's been through them with Lynn.
I think his shortcoming
strangely enough, may also be his strength, depending upon your vantage point. I think his strength from the standpoint of his employer is that he's very tough with the money, but I think the shortcoming is that he tends to maybe sometime in the past go too far with this tactic, and as a result it tends to alienate the players, and even when the contract is resolved, he maybe isn't getting the best and the most out of the players because they seem to resent him.
The Vikings and their fans were filled with hope at the start of the season, but it didn't last long when the team lost 6 of its first 7 games. The losses were taking their toll on Mike, especially the day I joined him to watch the Vikings play Tampa Bay.
Somebody probably got hurt on that play. Unfortunately, it's Millard. And unfortunately, it looks like a knee. I don't like this at all, and something obviously has gone wrong. I can't really put my finger on it, but...
What do you see for the future of the Vikings, the immediate future? I mean, do you think we're going to come out of whatever it is we're in?
This team is not a losing team. This is a great football team, and somehow the most important thing for whoever succeeds me is that what they must do is to keep this football team together.
One of the things that we talked about Mississippi was your desire to at some point reconcile with Max Winter.
That to me has been the most unfortunate thing that's occurred in my tenure with the Vikings. It should have never happened. I attempted in every way for it not to happen because I felt that, if I could sit down and talk to him, that none of this would have occurred.
Max Winter brought Mike Lynn to town in 1974, helped Mike establish himself, and named him general manager of the team. The two were like father and son. Mike even gave Max proof of his loyalty in the form of a letter of resignation to be used whenever Max wanted Mike out. But 5 years ago, when Winter told Mike to leave, and he wouldn't, the Viking board split and went to court when Max sold his stock to financiers Carl Pohlad and Irwin Jacobs.
It started out a personal thing because of Max and the way he treated Max. Here's an individual who said, here's my resignation. Here's an individual who said, I will never forget for what you did for my family. Tell me what I can ever do for you to make your life better. And the man says, get out of here. And he says, I really didn't mean it, and forget all it was. And here's an individual who thinks that Max really screwed him rather than him screwing Max.
What I did, I had to do. I mean, I was being thrown out. I was being told to quit and that I should leave. And for what reasons? Because one of Max's son-in-laws wants to exert influence over this franchise, which he had no right to do, especially when you had 2 other families that owned 2/3 of the stock who wanted me to continue in my position.
Do you still care about Max?
Yes. Max took me to a level that I never thought possible. I feel very fortunate and wonderful that I had the time that I had in Minnesota and doing what I did for so many years.
Step up!
And you've been lucky.
I've been lucky.
Mike Lynn says he's leaving behind a football team he's proud of, an operation that is financially sound, and a legacy that may turn out to be just as controversial as he was during his tenure here with the Minnesota Vikings.
A Pat Miles Special will return after these messages.
A special thanks to my guests tonight, Tom and Roseanne, Eleanor Mondale, and Mike Lynn, for allowing us to share their stories with you. And thanks to you for joining us. We hope you'll be back with us again next time. Good night, everyone.
A Pat Miles Special has been brought to you in part by Menards, your complete home improvement headquarters, and by Pontiac and their local Pontiac dealers. We build excitement.